cycles within cycles, and cycles within those cycles, and even further, cycles within those cycles. This is astrology. You know, by the way, happy Mother's Day. What is Mother's Day? Who is Mother? You know, we all have a mother. But are we willing to celebrate Mother Earth on Mother's Day, and for that matter, every day? This is getting back to the cycles within cycles. This week, today, this is Sunday, is Mother's Day here in the U.S. Each of us was conceived 9 months prior to our birth, approximately. Which means if you think about it and look at a chart, let's bring up a chart. I was born in Aquarius. The moon here on this particular day at 8 o'clock in the morning is right on the degree of my ascendant. If I go back 9 months, which means 9 signs, which is 3/4 of the way around the zodiac, we come to Taurus. So I was conceived in springtime of the year before and born in winter. And each of us has a variance on this particular 9-month cycle as to when we were conceived. When a conception transpired, in the process of preparing, if you will, for a birth of who we, came into life as a representation of a much larger context that is an unfolding process. We're born with a chart. We all are. It says that you have, a potential. So on that same level of consideration, each moment is a birth moment. And when I do these weekly considerations of the astrological dance, which is the matrix of the planetary configurations going on around us, this is a cycle within a cycle within a cycle, an unfolding, if you will, of a potential that each moment brings. And the initial potential, when we took our first breath and stepped into this incarnate motion here on planet Earth, something was a spark that took all those elements of Mother Earth and said, born, go forth. You have a potential in this moment. Fill it out. Things aren't going to stay the same. You don't stay at the birth moment. That's an initiation. And as we go through life, there are different moments when the factor of initiation steps forth and say, whoops you upside the head maybe, kicks you in the ass, and says, are you ready to step up to the plate? Because in this moment, something is, percolating, a spark within you, the gift that your soul came to give to this earth experience, and aspects of that, as you go from birth to death, come into the fore. Cycles and cycles and cycles, saying, in each of those particular moments, just like the birth moment of each day that I look at around 8 o'clock in the morning when I do my weeklies to say, what is being born today that is of merit to consider? Well, today, it's Mother's Day. I want to celebrate. Well, my mom passed away back in 2015. But my Mother Earth, it's not passing away. Oh, no, not. And I celebrate the process of not just a 9-month gestation to come here to do this life dance on the Mother Earth, but the celebration of the ongoing nature of life that is infinite. And in that shuffling of the cards of reality, I come into each moment asking, am I in tune enough with this life experience that as things transpire, that spark, that gift within me, recognizes moments when I need to awaken to something that is integrated into that gift experience that my soul came to offer. And am I in tune enough with that I can be the invitation for this initiation moment with whoever I am with in whatever circumstance, to recognize a participation in this cyclic process that's something that we all go through. So, what's happening here on Mother's Day? We have this, mini trine. Pluto, trine Neptune, trine Uranus. Sextile Neptune, sextile Uranus, and trine back to Pluto again. This is a long cycle. These are our outer planets, so they move pretty slowly. And this particular dance has been going on for a while, still underway, where the outer planets, those transformational kinds of energies that, stir whole cultural paradigms into the potential for that birthing moment of something of a much larger scale trying to wake up and be born, that is not a repetition of what has happened up to this point. I bring that up. I don't want to go into the political side of things. Our civilization, I'm talking planetary-wise now, I'm not just talking about the United States, is currently tasked with the discovery about if there can be peace in a meaningful level going forward. Because currently, the scales of proliferating discourse, disharmony, and warlike interactions transpiring on the planet can cause one to wonder about that. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole any further than that. But something to consider on this Mother's Day is Mother Earth accepting of the footsteps that I am planting upon her as being harmonious in a fashion that invites, with each of those footsteps, versions of a whole linked together. That is Mother Earth. It is one whole. Many parts, but all linked together. We are all made up of earth elements and sparked to life by spirit through a soul that each of us has come to gift this planet with. So happy Mother's Day. Monday comes. And I look around and go, aspects and aspects. Well, the moon, Mother, is in Pisces, but rules Cancer. So, what's going on in Cancer? Jupiter. Jupiter's in Cancer. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. That means it is basically being offered the red carpet of an invitation to participate in Cancer, in home, in the realm of Mother's space, that energy signature of a, I was going to say containment, but really it's so much more than a container. It is a signature from the lunar perspective of an invitation to feel, sense the energies of what it means to be with each other. You know, some people can feel at home anywhere. Some people don't feel at home anywhere. And yet, we're all here on Mother Earth, trying to ascribe to a pattern that can lead us effectively into discovering that home element that is so key to why it is that we are here. And Jupiter in Cancer right now is saying, in Jupiterian fashion, what is the larger perspective picture of this life dance that we're all a part of? At the same time, remember we talked about those sextiles between Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus? Well, the sun down here at 20 degrees of Taurus, essentially a connection to Mother Earth, is in a sextile to Jupiter. Can you sense that the solar vibrational energy of Mother Earth wants us to feel at home, and Jupiter is saying, in no uncertain terms, should you curtail that feeling? And remember, our moon, up there in Pisces, saying that perhaps there are aspects of this lunar part of the equation up there in Pisces that are asking us to, in some fashion, because we're all going to have versions of this, of a spiritual connection to what it is that home and Mother Earth on this Monday are asking us to pay attention to from a deep soul level connection to life. When I looked at all the aspects for this week, I went, geez, what can I say? Well, cycles within cycles. Everything's in motion. Mercury down here, as you can kind of see, it's racing along to catch up with the sun. Let's take a look here real quick at what are the speeds. So that's the travel speed. The sun is traveling at just a little less than a minute a day. Mercury is traveling at a degree a day. Mercury is traveling at 2 degrees a day. So Mercury is going to catch up with that sun relatively quickly. Matter of fact, we're just going to blip ahead through the week. And, of course, the moon racing along, only there in Pisces for a couple of days, and then goes into Aries, and more Aries. Get to Thursday the 14th. Oh, look at that. Mercury and the sun are only 2 minutes apart. Mercury is not retrograde, which means that Mercury's on the far side of the sun. And in a sense that can have a couple of different considerations. One is that Mercury is as far away from the planet Earth as it can get. Is it still relevant as far as our utilization of thinking and communication tools, that creative energy of curiosity? Well, it may not be as overt as one hopes. However, on this Thursday the 14th, Mercury is known in a position as Kazemi of the sun, in the heart of the sun. So in a way, you might almost feel that mercurial energy coming with solar force directed at Mother Earth to perhaps ask us in true Taurian fashion, are you comfortable with Mother Earth? Are your thoughts and words effectively being utilized to make sure that your connection, our connection to this planet that is supporting us on so many levels, is appropriate? On to the weekend. On the 16th, notice the lunar solar dance. The moon is 3 degrees away from the sun as we start this Saturday. Mercury is 3 degrees away from the sun on the other side. So this particular new moon that's going to happen on this day has a mercurial quality to it. And we're always asked at each new moon, what is the intention that you are setting for the next lunar cycle? Now, this is beginning relatively late in Taurus, but it's still in Taurus. That sense of value. So this particular new moon might be asking us, is your value structure in concert with the appropriate place you occupy here in this Mother Earth dance that you are a part of? And holding that thought forward, you have to ask yourself, is my value currently aligned with others in this same dance? Do we hear the same music? Are there vibrational tones trying to get our attention that we may or may not be listening quite so effectively to? And these are some of the thoughts that you might have as you're trying to determine, what is it during this next lunar cycle that I can intend to operate within and develop. That is an intention. I always like to throw in a Sabian symbol for something as dynamic as setting your intention, and each new moon does exactly that, gives us that opportunity. Well, the new moon for this particular cycle, 25 degrees of Taurus, which is really the 26th degree if you consider the 0 degrees as 1. It reads, a Spanish gallant serenades his beloved. Keynote: the ritualization of individual desires. Now this, in some senses, might seem to want to separate us from the perspective of Taurus being so in tune with the oneness of Mother Earth. And yet, Mother, that vehicle that 9 months prior to each of our incarnations set in motion a process whereby the elements of Mother Earth combine and recombine and formulate and reformulate ourselves in the womb of our mother to prepare us in some fashion for that next step incarnation that we are about to take. More reading on this particular Sabian symbol. At this level, we see the play of collective values as they affect the individual person and indeed confirm his individuality by giving it a solid basis in a tradition. We're all born into some kind of a traditional format that has been developing cycles within cycles for a long time. The individual is still attached to these group values. He belongs. Nevertheless, this state is necessary for a safe and secure sense of differentiation within an enfolding whole. Music and the culturally accepted rituals of love are cultural products, yet each person can use them for spontaneous fulfillment of his very own desires. There's a lot of ways to spin that. You could hold that close within our hearts at this time of the new moon on Saturday, that has a mercurial factor that may not seem as relevant as you're potentially thinking. But what planet is is Taurus ruled by? Yeah, it's Venus. And where is Venus? Venus right now is in in Gemini, ruled by Mercury. So this, seemingly distant, not necessarily easily to put your finger on mercurial factor may not be as distant as you think, because Venus in Gemini is saying to everything that's in Taurus, don't forget, curiosity has a place to play in this consideration as to what is it that this next month's lunar dance is going to spill out for your intentions to unfold into cycles within cycles. And the same can be said for how we develop. Yeah, we all have a birth chart, but, nothing is that static that it's not going to change, and we are change beings. Are you paying attention to those changes? Because they're happening, they're coming to happen to and with you. Sunday comes along, change of hats. What did Mercury do? Well, Mercury, all of a sudden, went into Gemini. Moon into Gemini. There's Uranus, right there with Mercury. Suddenly, unpredictably, perhaps wildly, I forgot to include that, because Venus is still out of bounds and will be till the 6th of June. There's a potential disruption in the kind of experience that Venus has to play in this consideration of what our intentions are for this next month. And Mercury and Uranus right there together. Unpredictability. Are things going to, potentially leap off my tongue that I didn't mean to say, and yet the Uranian, Great Awakener energy, Prometheus, is saying, take the chance. Rattle the cage. Wake things up that have been potentially asleep currently and need to be inspired. Breathe in to this experience. This is like a first awakening process after the new moon to the intentions that you have set in motion, saying, don't think small. Don't be small. There's a level of learning, Gemini, that is right there waiting to be awakened within us. That is part of that initiation into this lunar cycle. So think well on what it is that you want your intention to be for this next lunar cycle. That's all I'm going to do for the chart. And enjoy the ride. That new moon, on the weekend, in the springtime, Taurus. So if you're thinking of creating another Aquarian to participate in the Earth dance, this is what's up for right now. So as you engage with one another, think of that Sabian symbol for the new moon, this is part of that potential. Remember, cycles within cycles within cycles within cycles. What is it that you anticipate birthing with your intentions for this next lunar month? That's all I got for this week. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy each other and enjoy your place in the Mother Earth dance. Thank you.